Hello. Thank you all for joining this webinar. And I'm quite excited for everyone who has taken your time, your personal time, to join this webinar live right now, which is happening at the same time. And I want to thank for the people who will be checking out this recording later as well. Without further ado, a quick walkthrough on this webinar. What is this about? A very quick overview on how do we unlock this revenue growth with product ownership, and a practical guide, and how as a product owner can drive that change. When you're talking about driving change, where do we even start from? There are so many skills, behavior, tools. Okay, when there are so many of them, how do we even start? Where do we start from? So this session is currently being recorded. And if I can pin my spotlight for everyone, okay, there we go. So this session has been recorded. And as we go through this webinar, we also do have some toolkits, which we would love to share post-webinar. And as the session has been recorded, you can just send us a note to hello@Leadership Tribe, so we can send you a copy as well as any downloadable materials which goes with it. So we do have a section for Q&A. And what would that next step be from here? So that's something which we would love to check in. So a bit about me. My name is Krishna Chiripilli. I'm a consultant, trainer, facilitator. So in my free time, I'm quite passionate about kayaking and learning about humor and how do I use this in my day-to-day free time as well. And I do like about organization psychology, postmodern techniques, and anything that you can use to synthesize and integrate some of these tools to bring change. It can be around techniques around narrative therapy, so on and so forth. This is a little bit about me, but without further ado, I want to introduce you to this amazing gentleman and a great friend of mine who I have the luxury of working with. And so for this, I would love to introduce you to my colleague, Joseph, and over to him. Joseph, over to you.
Thank you, Krishna. So about me, I love motorbikes. I love being with my friends. I love traveling and I love food. You talk about food and I can't stop drooling. I also like to annoy my niece a little. So that's what I do in my spare time. Recently, I've started studying NLP and CBT so that we can use these therapies in the way we deliver classes and the way we deliver value to our clients. So that's what I do. It's about me. So, Krishna, do you want to tell them a little about the sponsors as well?
Thank you very much, Joseph. Before we can forget, I forgot to introduce the sponsor for this webinar. So a bit about the sponsor who we work for. So we have the pleasure of working with this amazing organization called Leadership Tribe. So as an organization, they are a group of highly experienced ex-IBMers, people from the armed forces. So so having these experts and having from various backgrounds, they are good at integrating various different techniques and helping to deliver value what matters for the organization. So when you say matters for the organization, it can be about bringing people together for the strategy sessions to help them to come up with their organization vision and how do we deliver those. It can be around training, around the upskilling of their workforces, or around coaching or mentoring their leadership. So leadership, it can be around from the individual one-to-one to many. So if you are interested to know more about the services, what they do, and for the people they've been working for, just give us a shout and we'll be more than happy to get back to you. The only thing you need to do is hello@Leadership Tribe, and they should be able to get in touch with you. And Joseph, thank you very much for highlighting this. And without further ado, I would also like to talk about Joseph's experience on this product ownership, because he's one of the greatest trainers and mentors I personally work.
Thank you, Krishna. So that brings us to the question. What, according to you, is the art of product ownership? So it's a small quiz, and we have few options here. Option one we have, is it championing your business goals? Asking those questions. Why are we doing this? What are we doing this for? The goals that we want to achieve, the numbers that we want to reach. Option two, we have the embracing customers' desires, their needs, dancing to the songs of your customers because we want to ask them, what do you want? What do you really, really want? Now, option one, option two, they talk about maximizing value for your customer, for your organization. Look at option three, it's about balancing your stakeholders, the scales. I remember my days where I used to run between different stakeholders trying to meet everybody's needs. Now, how do I do that? Or is it other? So, what are your thoughts? What are your comments? You can put that in the chat box. Let's take a quick minute and do that.
We are seeing options of 2. We got option 3. We got more 3s, more 2s.
Okay. So you all are right. Option one, option two, three or four, you're all right. Now, it all starts with the business and where they talk about the product. So for any business, for any team, where does it start from? It's about the product that they focus on. Now, apart from the product that we are delivering, there's something else that we should be looking at, and that's your customers. Now, when you understand your customers, their visions, their goals, and what is their success criteria, what according to them is what they need. And when I'm talking about customers, we have your internal customers, you have your stakeholders, you have your end users. How do you work with them? And how do you bring these two aspects together, your customers and your products together? And how do you focus on maximizing your client? When I look at the Mario here, the wonderful Mario running around to maximize the value here. And how do you do that? So it all starts with value. And I use this term many times already in this webinar. So imagine when you look at the image here, value according to whom? For few, it can be listening to music. For somebody, it could be running or jogging. For someone else, it could be spends time with the family. It can be anything. It depends upon the time and the need. For me, right now, it's dinner time in India and I'm hungry. Trust me. So value can change. Value changes with time and the market conditions. So interesting, isn't it? So take a second and think about what is valuable for you at this moment.
We got few options like food, cars.
Interesting, isn't it? So now we know value keeps changing. And also know that customers do have the needs and they have their pain points. So how do you identify this value? So by asking those powerful questions, teasing that information from your customer. And that reminds me of the Spice Girls wannabe song. Tell me what you want, what you really, really want. And once you identify the value, you capture it in the form of your visions, epics, user stories, and then you communicate it with the people that you're working with. They could be your stakeholders, they could be the people you're developing the value for you. And how do you do that? You have your sprint plannings, sprint reviews, retrospectives. Now, while you're doing all of this is where you have the skills that you want to develop, and that is to develop your relationships with the people that you're working with, understanding your customers. And being able to use all of these skills, whatever skills that we have, bringing them together, stitching them together. And all of this then leads to being able to connect with the people, working with them closely. Not just that, being able to do this consistently, not just once, but every time. And then we have the toolkits. There are many toolkits out there that we can use as product owners that we are going to teach, in our classes. And talking about toolkits, we have how do I define a product vision? Where do I start from? How do I prioritize the needs of my customers? How do I manage my product backlog? How do I anticipate what my client needs? How do I look at the market condition? That's changing every time. So all of things put together, where do I start from? Now, as a product owner, for me, sometimes this can be very confusing because there are so many toolkits, so many frameworks out there. So, and people say it's all about training, it's self care, but where do I really start from? Krishna, what do you think?
Joseph, thank you very much for leaving me the question of where do I start from? So when we are talking about where do I start from, just give me a second. I have this little amazing person here who wants to get the attention at the same time. So the question always arises to where do I even start from? So when we're talking about starting from, it's a toolkit, yes. And for us, for a person to achieve this toolkit, there are some few recommendations, which I personally have. Is one of them is to get some training. And by the way, the sponsor who we work for, they do provide these training programs. And these are the upcoming training programs. It's on the 12th of February for the product ownership, which talks about the skills, the behaviors, the toolkit. And for the skills, when we've been discussing, investigating, there are also other skills such as facilitation skills. There are also skills such as coaching, asking those powerful questions. We will dig into them later, but these are some additional skills which I would recommend you to check them out. And these are some high-level dates. And there are some existing discounts, but do drop us a note to hello@Leadership Tribe to get those discounts as well. So this brings me down to this interesting case study, which we have had the luxury of working with this leading digital agency during the COVID time. So the part of the project is helping them to these organizations to improve the end-to-end business processes so that we can improve the flow of value and reduce the time of delivery from the moment a lead is created for a customer to get their end product, the cycle time. So these are some of the things which we've been looking at. So as part of this is part of looking at the reorganization, automating some of the redundant services, and many more. And part of this job was working with the cohort of leaders. In this cohort, there is a group of product owners who we had the luxury of working with. And as part of this, I would like to share the story of this lovely colleague called Sarah. So during the pandemic time, the dynamic of this game, what we've been working, has been changing. So governments globally, they've been asking. The countries are shutting down the markets, so more restrictions have been started from going to different client places. Now the game of working virtually started. And there was a lot of anxiety at the same time. So during this time, with the changing paradigm, with the changing markets, where do I even start from? So one of the things, Sarah, is the group of cohorts, the group of these product owners started with looking at a piece of paper and understanding, with the current markets, what are my current needs? What are my current wants? It's not only that, but also looking at the other categories in life. It can be around family, fun, wellness, health. So looking into those categories, it helped us to create a North Star that could, that at times even helped us to get out from bed. So the underlying North Star for Sarah was to build those relationships. The relationships, how are we even building those relationships? So building those relationships virtually, which means that, so we are looking at building those new ways of listening, using the tools while we are working. So when we're talking about those tools, like using Zoom, now working with the stakeholders, and even those stakeholders who are going through a high anxiety, high stressed out environments, and being this facilitator, because as a product owner, one of the goals is to tease out what is that they really, really need. So to tease out is to listen to them and understand what really matters for your stakeholders. For them is using those listening skills and using those powerful questions. When I look at them, there's so much literature around how do we listen, but how do we even practice it? So this brings me to this really amazing sports psychologist, Dr. Professor Steve Peters. In this book, A Path to His Jungle, he has various methods and practices to help us improve the values of listening, improve the values, as well as one of the techniques is to improve listening. In his in his approach, he talks about how do we even create an opportunity where people are able to listen without judging. So one of the approaches he gives is it involves listening to others and accepting their perspective, even if it contradicts your own values and belief system, and accepting they are right. That's an interesting way to look at it. And he also talks about you can also look at it and measure yourself. How many times do you do it in an hour? How many times do you do it in a day? Helping you listen is you're able to prepare better questions. Better questions, you're able to tease out the information, what the client is trying to say. Or at times when you're working with your teams, it can be with your developers, it can be with your leadership team. So as a product owner, you're playing this facilitator role, you're bringing these people together. That's a simple technique. So at the same time, it's not only listening, practicing, but there are some other tools. What Sarah was also looking at practicing is capturing the time she was facilitating those meetings, taking an account of what meetings felt right. How did she feel during those meetings? What was that one thing she can experiment, bring those changes in? It's facilitating those meetings and having those powerful questions. It can be around those one-to-one questions with your clients. It can be one-to-many questions with your end users, stakeholders, teasing, gathering those, synthesizing that information. At times, being this product owner is also helping nurturing. So Sarah and her team, what I've also seen them practice is creating a weekly session and practicing those powerful questions and mentoring those new team members as well as the BAs in the team. And looking at other skills such as training, this was something which I've also observed is looking at the personal branding. What we have learned, is there a way she can document it and help us to promote this information, what has been helping her. So it's not only creating an information or a toolkit for other team members, but it also creates an opportunity when you're writing something, people tend to learn better. This is something what I've observed. So these are some of the things Sarah and her team have started doing it. So doing those things, it also helped us to improve those skills. And having a toolkit, different tools, one would need different tools for different contexts. At times, I have seen one needs to synthesize these tools for a given problem as well. And consistently doing it. Let's just like my colleague Joseph talking about how do we have those behaviors where we are consistently being consistent in the way we do it. So one of the things which we do is we got some next steps for you. One of the next steps is check out the upcoming training program, which is happening on 12th Feb. It's about the Agile Product Ownership. This is for the people who are interested in learning the skills. And for the people who are not sure, how do okay, I'm not ready for the training program. What else do I need to do all you need to do is book your one-to-one session with Hello at Leadership Tribe. So either it can be me or Joseph catching up with you to discuss what would success mean to you. And this brings us to our Q&A. So let me pause here and take some questions. So, okay. So product owners, are responsible for the OKRs, for the metrics? Ooh, that's a really good one. Are product owners responsible? Let me put it this way. Product owners, ownership. Ownership is the moment you got something, when you're capturing that value and you are communicating that value in the form of stories, or and you're communicating that value with your software product or a service through when you put something out in live and you're validating it and you're testing it. It's the end-to-end flow, because whatever you captured the value, it's a hypothesis, you put it out in the market. So it's a journey. It's an end-to-end journey. And it's an ownership of that value, capturing that value and delivering it end to end. So when you're talking about those metrics, so product owner is responsible to make this product win. It's just like a mini CEO. CEOs are responsible to make the game win. So this reminds me of the skills and the toolkits what Joseph was talking about. Is tools are there for a specific purpose or a need, what depending on the context or a problem, and that would make much more sense if using the right tools for the right problems. This is my take on it. So what I would recommend you to do is start experimenting. Start experimenting small, something small, and see what works for you. Even if it's a 1 degree change today, and if it's a 1 degree change over the next 360 days, it's a huge change moving forward. This is something I would like you to check it out and experiment with, but start something small. That's the only thing which I would recommend you to do. And without further ado, I would love to thank my colleague here, Joseph, for taking his time, and for all the lovely friends who have taken the time to join us for this webinar. And if you have any further questions, be shameless to reach us to Hello at Leadership Tribe. I'll be more than happy to get back to you guys. On that note, have a lovely weekend and see you all next week. You're on mute, Joseph.
Thanks for that, Krishna. See you everyone and have a lovely weekend. Yeah.
Bye-bye. Ta-ta.